Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I am Zindi, your pharmacist, and this is Health Talk TT. On this channel, I share all things health and well-being, and today I want to actually go a little deeper into a question that one of my subscribers asked about the difference between diabetes and pre-diabetes. And I want to spend some time talking to you all about pre-diabetes. I'm sure some of you are listening and you're probably surprised, as in there's actually something called pre-diabetes. Yes, there is. So before you are diagnosed as a full-blown diabetic, and this is specific to type 2 diabetes, not type 1, before you are diagnosed as a type 2 diabetic, there are some warning signs that your body gives you. There are some things that will begin to happen that lead all the way up to you becoming diabetic. And today I want to talk about that with you. I do believe that knowledge is power. If y'all could sense the passion in this video, it is real, guys, because too much of us here in Trinidad and Tobago don't know, which is probably why diabetes is such a big issue for us here in this very small twin island. We have such a big situation, a big problem when it comes to diabetes, knowledge about it, and of course managing it appropriately. So that being said, what is pre-diabetes? It is also known as impaired glucose tolerance, and what impaired glucose tolerance simply means is that your blood glucose level, they are higher than what is normal, but it's not high enough to be classed or categorized as diabetic. So let me give you the numbers. When it comes to fasting blood glucose level, because you could also have impaired fasting glucose, and impaired fasting glucose is also a sign of you being pre-diabetic. Impaired fasting glucose, again, readings are high, it's out of the normal range, but it's not high enough for you to be diabetic. And when you have an impaired fasting glucose, you're looking at a healthy person. They got up in the morning, had no caloric intake for 8 hours, so nothing to eat, nothing to drink. First thing they do when they get up in the morning, they test their blood sugar at home. That's a fasting blood glucose test. If that reading is below 100, that person is healthy, they're normal, then it's not an issue. If it's consecutively below 100, you're good. If it's 100 to 125 within that range, consistently within that range, then you fall in the category of pre-diabetes. If it's 126 and above, then you are diabetic. If it's 126 and above and consistently so, then you are diabetic. So I hope that can kind of clear up. And you yourself watching this video, if you've recently done a blood sugar test or you would like to do one in the future, you could now put yourself in one of the ranges: normal, pre-diabetes, or diabetes. Now, as a pre-diabetic, there are some microvascular alterations, and I know that name is simple. It's just micro meaning small, vascular meaning your vessels, your blood vessels, and alterations will be changes. So some small changes happen, small to big depending on how much you want to ignore them, happen to your vascular system, and it affects 3 major aspects of your body. It affects your eyes, it affects your kidneys, and it affects your nervous system. When it affects your eyes, medically it is termed as diabetic retinopathy. So your vessels in your eye, they're not going to work as efficiently as they should because of the high blood glucose level. You may be seeing cloudy, difficult vision, or for some persons they can even lead to blindness if they ignore it for too long. So that's the eye. Then there is the kidney. I'm connecting the dots here for you today. Persons who are diabetic almost always inevitably become kidney patients. And it's not a big gap. You will not believe how close that connection is, because your kidneys are grossly affected when you are diabetic, especially when your diabetes is being ignored or is not being managed, or you are pre-diabetic and you are naive about the danger that could affect your kidneys. And lastly, your other microvascular alteration would deal with diabetic neuropathy, which is a nervous system. So you must have a relative who is diabetic, and they'll talk about their hands and their feet, probably mostly their feet, really paining. Some people describe it as a consistent cramp. Some people say it's kind of like a sharp pain. Some people say it feels like a numbing, tingling. I've heard patients and people describe it differently, but I guess from one extent to the other based on severity, but your nerves are affected. So I started there to show you that being pre-diabetic is not you having a little sugar and it's something that you could just ignore. Yes, it can be coined as mild diabetes, but it could move very quickly to overt diabetes if glucose tolerance deteriorates, and if while during that pre-diabetic stage you ignore what your body is telling you. Now, how I like to see it personally is that pre-diabetes is like it's a yellow light at a traffic stop. You know, you have your green light, which means to go. Yellow means to not speed up. It means to slow down, and red means to stop. So when you're in this pre-diabetic stage, your body is telling you slow down what you're doing, what you're eating, the amount, the portion sizes, your practices, your lifestyle choices. Slow down and change them, because if not, it would not end well. Yeah? So I've shared that information with you. You must be very anxious to hear, well, how do I know if I'm pre-diabetic? What are my risks? So I'm going to share with you who might be at risk for pre-diabetes. Number one, if you are overweight, you are at risk. And I know we have normalized, we begin to actually desire within the Caribbean here a more voluptuous woman, more hips, more bum, more breasts, bigger, better. But it's not always healthier for the individual. And you're not only at risk for pre-diabetes, you're at risk for diabetes, high blood pressure, you're at risk for high cholesterol, you're at risk for arthritis, you're at risk. The list of things that you're at risk for being overweight is far and beyond. But today, sorry, I digress. Today we're dealing with the pre-diabetes and being overweight, meaning your BMI, your body mass index, is over 25. I'm not speaking about those who are lifting weights and bodybuilders, so you have all sort of muscles, so your BMI always high. I'm not speaking about your normal, natural person. If your BMI is over 25, you're overweight. If it's over 30, you're obese. You want to be in that healthy zone of below 25. 18 to 25 is where you want to be at your healthy zone. So if you are overweight, losing weight would be in your benefit. Another risk is if you're over the age of 45. Now, this is not something you can prevent. By God's grace, you're able to cross the age of 45. Thank God for that. But just know that because you are now 45, you may have to probably do a HbA1c, a special test to check your blood glucose level probably once a year. You have to be more careful as to what you eat and so forth. I'm not here saying to start eating healthy at 45. I'm saying if you made it to 45 without being diabetic, thank God, and continue eating healthy. Continue with your physical activity and continue checking up your blood sugar readings. Another risk or person at risk would be a mother who has given birth to a heavy baby, 9 pounds or heavier. Now, if you've given birth to a baby 9 pounds or heavier, you're royalty. You're a queen who needs to be given gifts daily. But also, you're at risk for pre-diabetes. And because of that, if you have given birth, baby is healthy, you are fine, it's now time to change what you eat and to become a little more active to prevent yourself from becoming pre-diabetic. Also, another risk is if you have had gestational diabetes, which is just diabetes during your 9 months labor. If you've had gestational diabetes, you've given birth and then you've given birth to a healthy baby. Beyond that, continue doing what your doctors recommended you do during the 9 months as it pertains to diet and exercise for the health of baby. You're not going to continue that for the health of your own self, because you can still become pre-diabetic moving forward. The other risk that I want to deal with is if you have family members, specifically first degree family members who have type 2 diabetes. Now, you know, we just say, oh, sugar in my family. So you have a great uncle who had sugar. That doesn't directly affect you. If your parents, however, mommy and daddy, are diabetic, then it affects you. That first degree lineage, that link right there, it affects you. And if you have mommy or daddy who are diabetic, it is high time that you begin to practice a preventative lifestyle, because preventative medicine is key. So a preventative lifestyle, so that you yourself do not become pre-diabetic or diabetic in the future. Another risk factor would be those of you young women who have polycystic ovarian syndrome. Now, I will be doing a series talking about all things women. A girl talk is coming soon and y'all don't want to miss that. So I'm not going to go too deep into PCOS in this video. But if you have PCOS, you are at risk for prediabetes. So I will advise that the lifestyle changes the moment you are diagnosed with PCOS. Diet and exercise have to be put in gear almost immediately, right? For some of you who have PCOS, you may have already been prescribed metformin, which is an oral anti-diabetic medication that doctors will put you on to prevent you from becoming diabetic because of the risk that exists. Yeah. Another one that I want to deal with, and this one is the last risk factor that I want to deal with in today's session, is something called acanthosis nigricans. If I did not pronounce it the way you pronounce it, don't come for me. I'm writing it down there. It's going to be written down there. And a picture is going to be probably somewhere up here in this corner to show you exactly what I'm speaking about. It is the darkening around the neck or the underarm of someone. And honestly, this could be such a cruel world. It could be so mean. I'm sure you would have probably seen it already in somebody who had a little more weight, having a kind of darkness around their neck and possibly under the arm. Let me just dispel a myth or untruth right now. It is not muck. It is not an accumulation of pure dirt. The person doesn't have an inability to clean themselves properly. I just want to put that out there because I've experienced a lot of people saying that. Even me myself in primary school, that's what people said, so that's what you thought was true. But now I know better, so I'm sharing the information with you so that you could know better. It is acanthosis, and it is as a result of like an over-replication of cells, skin cells, at those particular places. It usually happens in like creases and crevices of the body. Most times when that happens, it is because there's too much insulin or high excessive insulin levels in the blood. It means that your pancreas, which is the organ that produces the insulin, that organ is not working properly. And that person is at risk for prediabetes. They themselves may not know. People generally don't know what it is. But today, you know. And now you know better. You must do better. And because of that, I have just shared some building blocks with you. I really want you to go build a better you. Thank you for watching me here. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for sharing, subscribing, commenting. Thank you for all the positive feedback and prayers that I've been receiving. Thank you so much. Without you all, this channel would not make any sense. So thanks, guys.